So we're going to talk about crafting your signature sound.
Sound check. Check 1, check 2.
This topic is so important for us as developing singers. It's kind of born out of this idea of knowing your voice, and even though that's a part of this discussion, it's not really what we're going to angle towards today. This is kind of the next step, if you will. So you've developed a sense of knowing your voice, and that is you've been spending time in developing your technique and really become acquainted with your own vocal sound. So now it's about really refining that signature. I still remember when I was a teenager, and I think we all did this, I still remember sort of learning to craft my own written signature. And I would sit there and crafting, like a really nice running style and working with different feels and really developing a signature. And it's that idea that we want to really drill down into. What makes your voice unique? What's identifiable? What is your unique vocal signature? And so there are 5 points that we're going to go through in regardings to crafting your vocal signature. The first one, and this might come as a surprise, but I actually think, and you let me know what you think, I actually think this is such a key point, and that is embrace your vocal imperfections. And you might go, but don't we spend all of our time working on technique to perfect the voice, to remove those imperfections? I think technique does, refine the voice, but technique's about developing efficiency, sustainability, and ease. It's not necessarily about making it perfect. And in contemporary singing, actually, if we build technique to the point of perfection, it's almost like it sterilizes the voice, like it kind of makes it a bit vanilla. And so we want to really embrace our imperfections. As singers, we can sort of identify difficulties within our voice, and we become fixated on them and see them as real weaknesses, where in fact, those very same weaknesses may well be able to be identified as unique characteristics that can in turn be a strength. Good examples of these unique vocal qualities would be a Bob Dylan, Janis Joplin, Louis Armstrong with that gravelled sound. Now, you would be hard-pressed to find people who would suggest they were anything but excellent singers. The next thing that we want to talk about is thinking about hybrid vocal techniques. I'm thinking about how do we go about creating something in one sense that's new? Well, maybe you have quite a twangy voice. Hands up, we all know that I've got a twangy voice. So maybe I can take that country twang, which again, once upon a time I was bullied for. Maybe that can be really positive, and I can apply that into some rock and create a really different sound. And that could be an example. Or maybe you're really into R&B riffs and runs. Maybe you could take that R&B riff and run and place it into pop. But it's this idea of, okay, well, what are you going to be known for? Where do your strengths lie? Combine them. See what your voice does with those. Allow your voice to explore these ideas. Experiment. You might even think to experiment in genres that sit, aside from what you would normally sing, but take the values, the tonal qualities of what you normally sing, take those into the genres that stand aside. Storytelling with your voice. And perhaps this is an area that you are really strong in, but it's not an area that you've really, allowed yourself to express on stage. Perhaps you love the storytelling nature of singing. You hear it in other singers. Maybe this is an area of strength for you. It's an area that you can explore and develop. One of the ways for you to really shape and develop that idea of storytelling is to actually talk through the lyric of your song. Talk it like you were talking a poem, a prose, and actually just talk it through. Allow the lyric to sing as opposed to you singing. This is just a start. Just talk through the lyric. Allow the subtext to emerge. What is it that is not written on the page that as you talk it through, and then allow that to emerge. And then when you come back to singing it, you might be surprised at how effective that is for you in developing that idea of storytelling. The other things that you can explore too in this area of storytelling is dynamics. Where do you need to be quiet? Where do you need to be loud? We want to think about tempo. Rearranging a song to either be fast or slow can radically change the telling of a story. And also phrasing, whether you hold the phrase long, whether you go, short and clipped on your phrasing, all of these things have an effect on your ability to storytell. Again, this is all around the topic of crafting your signature sound. What is your special proposition as a singer? What allows people to identify you and connect with you specifically as opposed to someone else? Not because we're in competition to everyone else, but because we want to make sure that we are developing our voice in such a way that we are able to communicate. And the more people that are ready to receive that communication, the better, arguably. Customized vocal arrangements. I think this is something that can be a bit of a challenge, but particularly if you are not a instrumentalist, that is, you don't perhaps play guitar or piano, and because to really rearrange a piece, you kind of do need to be able to play with it musically, not just vocally. That being said, you can collaborate with another musician. Perhaps you have a family member or a friend who plays an instrument. And when you do, you can explore things like these customized vocal arrangements. And as a result, you can alter songs to fit your style. The other thing you can be doing too is using things like looping pedals. And so you can look at things like TC Helicons, voice machines, and there's a whole range of looping pedals that you can put onto a mic. And as well as you could look at things like software and doing different things with music software around the customized vocal arrangements. And you could even, if recording vocals is your thing, then you can, triple track things, and you can cut and paste, and there's all sorts of things that you can be doing to craft your signature sound. And then finally, technological innovations and effects. And so this is where we really choose to see tech as a tool, not as a cheat, not as a crutch, but as a tool that we use to craft with, that we use to experiment with, that we use to create with. If you want something to really swallow a lot of time online, do yourself a favor and just start looking into plugins and tech around voice. Using tech, things like auto-tune. Let's just talk to auto-tune. It's not purely for correction, and I've got a whole video on the subject of auto-tune. Auto-tune can be and has been used in the commercial setting as a very powerful creative tool. And so same thing with vocoders. And this is where we get into things like effects pedals, and you can place distortion on the voice if you want to. And that can be an interesting thing if you're into, the heavier genres. You can choose to distort your voice electronically as opposed to doing it biologically. And that can be something that could be really interesting for you to explore. All of these things, embracing your vocal imperfections, hybrid vocal techniques, storytelling with your voice, customized vocal arrangements, technological innovations and effects, these are all ideas to kind of prime your pump towards the idea of crafting that unique individual sound that sets you apart, not because we want everyone else to be, not set apart, but really identifies you as unique. It's your unique offering, and it's also just fun to explore, to see what is my voice capable of. And you never know where that exploration might take you. It can take you some really fun, different places.